Hey folks, Quilly18 here, and welcome to the start of a brand new Rimworld Let's Play, and I'm very excited for this one. I spent probably a couple of weeks now at this point just working on a perfect, in my opinion, mod set for Rimworld that really doesn't drastically change the base way the game plays, but it's still something like 160 mods or something like that in here. The only one that has a pretty dramatic gameplay, like an actual change on vanilla, is probably Dub's Bad Hygiene. And other than that, to me, it's just stuff that makes it like Rimworld, but more so. This episode is just going to be the setup. I'm going to probably call this one episode 0. So if you're only interested in starting the gameplay from day 1, go ahead and skip to the next episode. Otherwise, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to hit the mods button here. I'm not going to talk about every single mod I have installed, because again, I have a lot of them, but I'm going to try to give you a quick little highlight of a few things. First of all, there is going to be a link down in the description box where you can download a file that will let you have this exact mod list over here that I am running. However, the first thing you're going to have to do is manually install a mod called Mod Manager. That makes your mod screen look like this. Over on the left, these are mods that I have technically subscribed to, but are not currently running, so you can ignore those. Over here on the right is the mod list. Now, a bunch of these don't do, like, again, you could run this mod and ignore it. Like vanilla achievements, this mod is going to be running, you could literally never interact with you and it wouldn't bother you in any way whatsoever. Replace stuff, quality builder, these are just, you know, user interface, quality of life kind of improvements. Level up just gives you a pop-up when you level up, you know, these sorts of things. Don't drop an item in a doorway, which opens things up. So lots of little visual things, a little helper to help you mine out an entire vein all at the same time. Quality surgeon lets you have a little bit more control over who does surgery and make sure that the best surgeon does things. This just changes the way the research tree looks, that sort of thing. Death rattle technically changed the gameplay a little bit. Someone who takes a fatal injury, including like their heart was destroyed, don't instantly die, technically making it possible if you're really fast to possibly slap the pawn on a surgery table and install an artificial heart. That might be a little bit difficult. It hasn't really successfully happened yet, but it's actually quite entertaining to see it happen. You get a little bit more drama of people dying with a little bit more time going on. I got my robot mod over here that I like to have, so we can have little Roombas and cooking bots and stuff to maybe help out later on. We will see. Whether or not we use this game, I don't know. But again, if you never interact with it, it's not going to change anything about your game. Slightly more efficient hauling. Tech advancing is a mod that does let you advance through the tech eras. I don't think it's going to come up in this particular game, but it's quite handy to have in there. It doesn't let you auto advance, like you have to work for it, but it's quite cool. Smarter construction, don't get boxed in. Okay, Bad Hygiene is the first mod that actually changed the gameplay. It adds a need for bladder and hygiene, and optionally you could even turn on a thirst meter as well for your pawns. This does make the game harder, and it is a mod that does change the inherent gameplay because you have to deal with these hygiene things, but I kind of like the way it makes your little colony, your little town, look a little bit more real and alive by having these little bathrooms and a few other buildings and structures that you can do with the Bad Hygiene. So this is the one sort of exception to basically all my mods are kind of vanilla. Bad Hygiene is the only one that kind of breaks that. What else can we talk about that's going to make things? Again, a lot of these are little pop-ups. This does let you tweak your initial embark over here, but again, once you're playing, it doesn't really matter. Pharmacist, more drug policies, priority clean, so you clean sterile floors better. Little fridges. Again, if you just don't build a fridge, then that doesn't actually matter at all. Jewelry, so I'm not even sure I'm going to end up doing any of the jewelry stuff. So this does sort of change because you can find ruby, diamond, sapphire, emerald. Maybe that's it, but you can find some other precious stone, which basically works the same as like jade if you're ignoring the jewelry part of it. So I figure that's fine as well. Technically enables fishing over here. Again, if you don't use it, it doesn't do anything. This does make the game a little bit easier because it lets us smooth stone faster. Smoothing stone seems to take a really, really long time. So I've got this. Although now that I'm thinking about it, does Tweaks Galore include a stone smoothing option? It may, I can't recall. We may have to check. I may be doubling up on some mods for some things. This lets us repair clothing that's been damaged. If you've got some really nice stuff, that's pretty handy. Again, you can completely ignore it. Doesn't make a difference. I love wall lights because I just love the way they use the space a little bit better. More raw body things. Colony manager, we'll see plenty of that once we get in. Stone cutting extended. it does a few things. It makes it so that stone cutting actually does use the crafting skill, which is both good and bad, because actually, by default, the crafting job for people, not smithing, not tailoring, but crafting specifically, basically all the crafting jobs don't really use skills, so you can have totally unskilled pawns do that, because it doesn't give you XP, but it doesn't really use the skill. Stone cutting changes that, so it does use the skill, but it does give you XP, and I think it makes a lot of sense to have in there. You know, clean pathfinding, people will prioritize roads instead of dirt a little bit. I haven't really seen it make a huge difference, but it feels like the sort of thing that looks good. Okay, Fluffy Breakdown does change the gameplay a little bit. In normal vanilla Rimworld, when there's a random chance that your electronic devices break down and then need a new component to replace it, Fluffy Breakdowns changes things so that instead your construction pawns have to go and spend time maintaining things. They have a sort of a health meter, a maintenance bar that drops over time, so your pawns will have to go over and repair it. It saves on components, but does eat a lot more construction time, although there are a couple of techs in the tech tree that make your components last longer. Mod Manager, this is the mod that makes your mod screen look like this. Vanilla apparel, so we got some clothing, some more furniture. Ogre Stack lets you change how much you can stack items in one tile. There's Ogre Stack, there's another mod called Stack XXL. Those are both very popular things to change the size of stacks. It means that you're not spending like 80% of your base on just storage and kind of looking bad. This one's not so much about making the game easier as much as making our towns look a little bit prettier because you need less storage. There's a deep storage mod, I think is what it's called, that's also very popular. I decided not to use it this run. I may use it in the future instead of Ogre Stack, but the other storage mod lets you make like chests and containers and stuff like that let you store items in there instead. This will change your user interface. Search and Destroy gives you a button when you've got your pawns drafted to go and automatically engage enemies. It's really not a very important mod unless you're running with a lot of melee pawns. It's not terribly useful for your shooters, although once a raid breaks and is running away, I actually quite like this one. But it's really nice if you're doing a lot of melee guys or maybe a melee only run. This is beautiful. Just change the map. Okay, Simple Sidearms does have a fairly significant gameplay change in that your pawns can carry more than one weapon and will automatically switch between appropriate weapons in combat. The most obvious use case of this is that they can carry a ranged weapon and a melee weapon, for example. So once an enemy closes into melee, they'll switch to their knife or whatever and try to poke like that instead of just bashing with their gun or something stupid. It's quite nice. Better pawn control. Again, you can ignore it. It lets you set custom policies. We will be trying to make use of that. This really handy mod here, Better Mod Mismatch window, makes it a lot clearer what mods you've added or removed from a save, or if the order has changed as well. Beautiful. Menu, gear up and go, which is going to be handy maybe with better pawn control. This just changes the builds that you can do. Okay, Simple Hyperweave does give you a tech that you can research to produce your own hyperweave, which otherwise you can only acquire from like quests or purchasing from traders. It's really expensive. We might not use it at all, but at least it gives us a bit of an option. Smarter Deconstruction, in theory, will have your pawns remove roofs before they remove the walls and therefore avoid killing themselves. Equipment Manager will be making use of to have the pawns automatically grab weapons based on certain rules rather than having to manually equip everyone. Equipment Manager plus Simple Sidearms plus better pawn control leads to some really nice, smart working. With Gear Up and Go as kind of an extra added in there, makes it really nice to have your people kind of equip themselves, which feels really great. RPG Style Inventory doesn't do anything, it just looks really cool. Vanilla Weapons Expanded was partially through weapons, but I think they also add in some tools, and it's the real reason I'm using this, more than the weapons themselves. Outfitted, very similar to Equipment Manager, lets the pawns have slightly different rules for what gear they equip, rather than simply, if you enable everything on a pawn, they will try to equip things that have the most armor by default. With Outfitted, you can give them different priorities. For example, you can make a chef outfit that prioritizes things that increase cooking speed, reduces poisoning chance, that sort of thing. And it's really, really cool to do that. But of course, the Outfitted by itself means your pawns will be running around in great work gear, but not necessarily good military gear unless you manually change the outfits and then do a Gear Up and Go. But better pawn control can help you manage that with less clicking. So it's all kind of part of one package. Apparel here, some cool custom work apparel, which is going to tie in nicely with Outfitted. I like the idea of this, right? Like medic bags, tool belts, this sort of thing. It always sounds really cool to me, but isn't necessarily practical normally, because because having to micromanage all those outfits can be annoying. But again, with something like Outfitted and with something like better pawn control, it makes it a lot easier to actually make use of the cool outfits. 1, 2, 3 personalities is a replacement for the psychology mod that I liked. It added a little bit more personality and character to your pawns and their interactions, and this is basically a continuation of that just gives them a little bit more individual personality. Vanilla social interaction expanded does work with 1, 2, 3 personalities and just gives them more types of chatting and things that they can do. Animal controls, animal tabs, beautiful outdoors, more beauty from outdoors and trees and stuff like that. Better bed assignment makes it a little easier to assign beds. Visual thing, follow me, you can have the camera follow a pawn. I don't know if we'll use this, but it's going to be there. The ability to do autopsies on dead pawns and remove organs from pawns that have died. Harvest yield changes some of the mechanics a little bit. I guess the way that like the harvest percentage chance works in vanilla doesn't actually really change how much you get. It just gives you a percentage chance to fail, and if the chance is over 100, it doesn't really give you anything. This lets you go over 100 and maybe get some bonus plants and stuff like that. Or if you fail, I think you get less plants rather than just failing outright. And I think mostly with this, that what appealed to me is this intuitively felt like what that stat meant in the first place. So it basically just means it aligns with sort of how it feels. We might not use higher power, we'll see. Hospitality, we're definitely going to make use of. So with hospitality, it allows you to make guest beds and then have guests show up and stay in your colony, and it's going to feel really good. Again, you could have this mod running and just completely ignore it, and it won't do anything. Map preview when we settle, gives us a little picture, which is cool. Little training dummies and things that you can place down if you want for recreation. This will give us more components. I'm running this specifically because the map I'm looking at doing is probably not going to have very many mountains, if any at all. So if we can dig out some components, I'm really going to want to get a few extras. I think I'm also running more steel for the same reason. That's all I did. So it's only related to mining jobs, and I don't think we're going to do a lot of mining. This should make the pawns preferentially shoot people who are closest to them, which seems like a good idea. We'll see how that works. This lets us build a quarry to get some stone. Maybe we'll use it, maybe we don't. This lets you rename your colony anytime, which is lovely. Snap out does make it, if someone's having a mental break, someone's going to come over, someone I think with the wardening job, i.e. your high social person's going to come over and try to convince them to snap out of it. Price right changes some tweaking, some trading prices. This doesn't do anything other than color rare traits. Vanilla armor expanded. It's gonna be in here. Whether or not we make any use of this, I don't know. I don't think I've ever been super impressed or excited by the vanilla armor expanded as much as some of the other clothing, but we'll see. Vanilla books, again, we might use it, we might not. Brewing, yeah, we'll probably make use of it for our western town. That sounds pretty good. These are patches for royalty and ideology for the vanilla expanded stuff, just to make things work a little bit better. This adds insect raids to you. So in the past, I've done a lot of like disabling the insects, because when I dig into mountains, I hate the like random infestation that pop up and ruin your cool little mountain bases. So I tend to turn them off, but it's not like I don't like bugs. So a couple of things. One, the mod Tweaks Galore has an option to make it so that bug infestations won't spawn where you've floored. So it's a way to prevent them from spawning inside your base. And then adding this means we will get insect raids, presumably. I haven't seen it yet, but that is theoretically the idea. So we'll still get bugs, and in fact, they'll be a little bit more intense. The Settlers factions is really neat. It does add sort of a Western style faction out there, including the ability to start with something with this theme, but we're not going to be using that starting scenario exactly, because it really assumes you're a bandit gang, and there's a few I don't know, a few implications to that it's not really what I was looking for, but it does add a couple of cool Western weapons and a couple of cosmetic stuff and things like that. So I definitely want to run this. Plus, having like Western style factions out there to visit is going to be quite cool. Fishing, we might use. Furniture, okay, the architect module. So one of the things this does is that it adds the ability to build things with different types of wood. Now, it all uses normal plain vanilla wood, but they'll be, you'll have mahogany and birch and stuff like that. It makes slightly different colored items. I don't really care for, but what this does do is add the ability to have little foundations. So for areas where you've got like soft sand or something where you can't build like most walls, for example, this will let you put down the foundations so that you can build on top of it in a much more convenient way than any sort of like bridge things and various things. And in fact, if you drag a wall across that area, it'll automatically put down the jobs to build a foundation. Really handy. We might ignore some of the other stuff from that, but that is actually really cool. This farming module, I think the reason I really like this is, so it comes with a sprinkler, but Dub's Hygiene has a sprinkler already, so it's a little bit redundant. The animal feeder will look cool. The scarecrow I don't care about. It's got little draggable, like flower pots or planters and things like that you can drag and shape, and that really appealed to me. So that's, I think, the reason I'm running this. This does tilled soil, but you have to re-till it all the time. I don't even know if I'm going to care about that part of it. I think I mostly wanted it for the planters. We might not get the spacer furniture, but I was like, it's not going to hurt things. It's going to be okay. I don't think running this by itself is going to do anything. So I actually could theoretically, I think, disable it for the run. I think I just like the ideologies it added for a different thing. More symbols and icons for ideology. Splits and schisms. Okay, this is kind of neat. This does give you the ability for your ideology to have a schism and split itself. We're going to run it and see what happens. I don't know. Okay, outposts. We'll deal with it much later if we get there. Textures, more traits. Non-lethal weapons, maybe. That's just handy. Oh, okay. Xenobionic Patcher. This makes it so that you don't have to have a mod like the dog says. I think that's what it's called. To do animal prosthetics. Instead, this lets you use normal prosthetics, so prosthetics, bionics, and stuff like that, on animals. So if you make a prosthetic leg, you can install the prosthetic leg on a person or on a dog. It all works. This deals with the problem where if you've had your legs replaced with bionic legs, you can't wear boots because of the way it's coded in Rimworld. So this makes it so you can still wear boots with your bionic legs. That's just a prereq for something. Oh, unlimited. This might not matter. I don't think it's abusive or anything. I don't think it's going to come up much, but there is, I think, a cap to how much value you can get out of a skill that's above 100%. Not a skill, but like manipulation over 100%, for example. In Rimworld, there's a cap, and this removes it. So if you make someone who's like a super duper uber cyborg, and it says they've got like 200% to manipulation, they'll actually get 200% to manipulation or whatever it is with unlimited. Might not matter, but again, I want the numbers that you see to actually do what it looks like they should do. This is literally just props that don't do anything. Props and decorations don't do anything, but might let us make things prettier. This is my mod. I made a mod, you guys. All it is a slight variation of the faction, the starting faction that you can pick from the vanilla factions expanded settlers here. That sort of renames the instead of bandits, you got frontiersmen. But the other thing it does is it makes it so that you are going to be an industrial level tech, like as your tech type, but you're only going to start with tribal technologies unlocked, which is going to be ideal for this particular run. Skylights, windows, smart farming, a couple of automation tools which are really nice. Smart speed, it does have an ultra speed, but the big thing about it is you do have the option to ignore if there's like a raid going on. You can still run at higher speeds, which might be handy. Let's just put little signs down. You know what, I might take this out. No, I mean, again, I can ignore it. I can have this running and just never do anything with it. Underground power conduits. This just makes it so that you can build conduits that you can't see on the screen. There's a bunch of different mods that do similar things to this. This is the one I picked. Underground power conduits. This mod here, it doesn't take any more material, but it does take more labor. So you're going to want to be careful with it. But it does mean that you can run cables that are not going to be visible, which is going to be really nice. This adds ETRT, which is Evil Tacticians Rimworld tweaks. There's a standalone mod called this, or there is a bulk mod called this that has a bunch of these mods in it. I'm actually running 2 of the standalone versions of it, so I could run the whole pack, but I only really cared about these 2 little things. This gives you a recipe to refine plasteel, which is slightly expensive, and I guess it smelts down. You get more steel from slag, which actually is probably going to be pretty helpful on this map because I don't think we're going to get as much of it to start off with. I don't know. And then medicine production lets you build neutromine mostly, and technically, and Lucy. Again, we might not use these, but technically gives us a possibility for a run where we have all of our people addicted to Lucy. I think that's what the red stuff is. I think that's it's not cheap, but it's interesting that it's an option. Realistic rooms just makes your pawns slightly happier with somewhat smaller rooms. Okay, prosthetic mods. There's a bunch of different ones out there. We've used a bunch of different ones. I have decided for this run and potentially future runs to use expanded prosthetics and organ engineering, that's EPO, forked. The forked version here gives you the ability to build, say, bionic parts directly without having to go do the prosthetic first and then upgrade to bionics and then upgrade it to advanced bionics, which I find annoying and weird. It does change the cost if you're building it directly as opposed to using the prereq stuff, so it should all be balanced. It's just better for micromanagement, which is ultimately the reason I use the forked one instead of anything else. royalty things, icons, brewing for coffee and tea. We might just ignore it. We'll see. We got cooking expanded over here, and cooking with stews. We might not use the stews. We might just, make normal, simple meals, but at least we've got the option for a few things. Memes and structures. I have more ideology stuff, which is quite cool. Smoke effects, scattered flames. Better pyromania changes the way pyromaniacs work. I haven't actually even used this yet, but I think it's going to be kind of fun if we do get that. There's the more steel I could talk about with the more components. Mortar accuracy. I'm going to run this one, so this will make the shooting skill be used, or intellectual skill. I think it uses either one or both, whichever one's higher. Something like that. But yeah. Oh yeah, colonist intellectual and or shooting skills. Probably there's option in the mod things. Because otherwise, I think it uses maybe their vision or manipulation, but not actually any of their skills in vanilla Rimworld, which is weird. So we're going to run that. True UI, convert then recruit, and a performance enhancing boost over here. Now you will notice that the one thing I don't have in here that some of you may be wondering about is vanilla plants expanded, and more plants, and even succulent modules over here. These are very, very, very good mods that add a lot of really interesting plants, including support for more biomes and stuff. And in particular, the plants expanded more plants adds Brussels sprouts. So I was very tempted to do that, but ultimately I just felt like it added a bunch of clutter that I didn't care for. So that is why I'm not running the vanilla plants expanded, even though it would make the vanilla cooking expansions even more interesting. I just felt like it was too much kind of clutter. You can sort of ignore it, right? You don't have to plant new plants. You could just plant corn and rice and whatever like normal, but there's going to be more stuff in the trade windows and things, and ultimately I just decided I'm gonna not do that. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So I have made a custom scenario over here. We're actually gonna ignore some of the things that are in here and while we work on our when we do the careful embark, or whatever it's called. Prepare carefully, that's what it is. The big thing with this is that it is going to change your faction to be the New Frontier Settlement, which is the thing from my custom mod, which no, isn't on the workshop, but it's pretty insignificant. I may maybe add it to the workshop. What I was thinking for this particular run, now, there is this Diego Dyer storyteller that we could grab that is from the Settlers faction group. It is apparently sort of inverses things. You get a lot more sort of raids early on. You get a lot of people asking for what is it, for a ransom, or they come and say, hey, give us 500 silvers, or you're going to be in trouble, and if you say no, then they'll raid you, for example. And then it slows down, and I think then you get just a lot of traders, and then it sort of ramps back up in an interesting style. I've played with it. It's actually quite cool. But what I was thinking I would do is actually start Phoebe Chillax, but on Strive to Survive over here, and probably make some changes later on. Phoebe Chillax does not make the raids and other things less deadly. It just gives you more time in between things. And in fact, potentially, depending on if you're not paying attention, if you're taking that in between time to just build up your base a lot and increase your wealth, you can be surprised at how intense the raids are. So I might do this for just the start. As far as I know, all the events like the extortion kind of requests and things like that are just in the event pool in general, so we'll see them for anything. But yeah, we're going to get started with this. And then probably move to Diego Dyer afterwards is what I'm thinking. Oh, reload anytime. And so the seed, if you're using the exact same mod set I am, if you use the Western seed with 50% global coverage, less rainfall, higher temperature, you should have exactly the same world map as I do. You can see the insect stuff over here. We got bandits, rough settlers, civil settlers. So we're going to generate our world. Generate faster. Wow. I mean, I can't blame it. There's a lot of mods over here. And I did ask for a 50% world, so it takes a little bit longer as well. So yeah. Yes, hunt boom wraps when it's... There we go. There's our world. I like it. Kind of dry and arid for that western kind of feel, which is what I'm going for over here. You can see the settlement preview thing over there, which I think is wonderful. But I already know where I'm going to settle on this seed. Right over here in Brigo Grove, I'm going to be settling right on the road over here. I'm going to make a western feeling town on a main road that people are going to come through. We're going to be setting up an inn and stuff for the hospitality mod. And what I would really like is to not build a bunch of giant walls. We probably still will have to because it's Rimworld. And I mean, it's not going to be a pure western game. We could. There actually are mods, especially with the settlers thing, where you can build a world that doesn't progress past a certain level, so you don't get a bunch of high-tech weapons and stuff like that for a proper Western feel. I decided not to do that. I've never watched Westworld. All I know about it is sort of like cowboys and some people are robots or something, but you know, maybe that's going to be a little bit of a vibe we're going to get over here, this Western town, or a little bit like Firefly, some of the planets out on the rim, which of course this game was heavily influenced by Firefly, as well as Prison Architect and Dwarf Fortress, and so that might be kind of our vibe here, right? We've got, you know, this Western thing, but there's going to be some advanced technology. Some people are going to show up with pulse lasers and whatnot, so we'll see. And oh, hold on, wait. I want to go and make a slightly bigger map. There we go. Very easy to forget that. It is not recommended that you go to the super large. Weird things can happen, but the one step higher medium is okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to create a custom, but I'm going to load. If you load saved, then you don't get to make a change. But if you say create custom and then you load a saved ideology, and yeah, there's a different mod set for that from some tweaking. That's going to be okay. I'm going to load anyway. Close that. Then you can make some changes over here. So this is my frontier justice ideology system over here. We want all of our people, you know, everyone's got to wear shirts, pants, and a hat, of course. Otherwise, it doesn't quite do. You're not too bothered by death. It's out there. It's real. Tainted apparel, you know what? If you got to steal the boots off a dead man, I think that fits very well. Execution respected if guilty. Actually did toy with the idea of have it be kind of required, but I don't think I wanted our people to be quite that bloodthirsty. Otherwise, things are pretty normal as a baseline over here. Our roles are going to be mayor and preacher. We want a proper burial for dead people. We're going to have 4 holidays. So we have Winter Gifting, Summer Fiesta, Spring Jubilee, and Fall Cotillion, obviously not in that order. All of these have the chance to spawn a new colonist, which I thought was a great idea. We're going to have our pews over here, the Just emblem, and needed something. And we've got our Festivus tree for the Winter Gifting Festival. We've got a couple of relics. We've got, of course, a revolver and a survival rifle. Everyone would prefer to have a cowboy hat, but it is a relaxed thing, so they're not going to stress too much if they don't have it. And that's it. That felt proper cowboy to me. Hopefully you don't disagree. Oh, so Culture Frontier and the Rustic Style, I think the Rustic Style might be from the Settlers faction mod. I'm not sure. That was one of the other reasons I am still using it, right? Despite not using the Storyteller or the actual faction currently. Gonna hit next over here. Okay, we're gonna prepare carefully now. So I'm gonna do that. Now I have a preset that I'd started on. I don't know if we're going to use things as is exactly. I did want to start with 5 just to kickstart things a little bit faster. And I wanted everyone to have a name that more or less fit their role. And I'm going to keep that going with our nicknames and stuff like that. So we've got Doc over here, who has passion for medical and social and intellectual. And all of our people are going to have shooting passion to start off with because, you know, it's a Western and everyone for some reason is going to be good with guns to start off with. That's going to have to be fine. Your enacted mission over here, which I believe is maybe something added with some of our mods. Medical 10 quality plus 20% is really nice. And Gourmand isn't great, but yeah, gives you a bonus to cooking as well, which he's not really doing. Although he could maybe do it early on to help things out, but he's got that. We've got Wild Blood over here. Oh, she's quite a bit older. Hopefully she doesn't develop too many medical conditions. But she's good at planting. She can also handle the animals. And I suspect we'll probably make her be a hunter. She's a jogger here. She does have Rebel, which occasionally makes her stop doing particular work. It can be a little annoying, but I thought it was a good fit over here for Wild Blood. That seems pretty good to me. We got Smitty, who's the smith. He's great at crafting. I didn't even set that. That just like came that way. You won't cook or clean, which is a little bit annoying, but not a big deal. It is interesting that he's brave. Brave's a great trait. I don't know if, like, I mean, he's not going to be doing the hunting. I mean, everyone's going to be part of the initial defense, I suppose. But yeah, he's good at crafting, good at construction, so he's going to be our builder person at the start. We got Petra here, who is good at mining. Also, I suppose maybe artistic. She developed some medical passion, which is nice to have a backup. I guess that'll be okay. Quick Steeper is good. Menagerist, I think, means she wants a lot of animals. Yeah, and she's got an increased tame animal chance, but unfortunately she doesn't actually have a passion for the animal stuff. So I don't know if that one's really going to come in to to anything, but she's going to be happy if we got a lot of animals, so I guess that'll be okay. Quick Sleeper is going to be pretty nice, I think. I don't know how much it'll come up, but yeah, she can mine and maybe do some art later on. Oops, sorry, I bumped the mic. Her skill set's actually, you know what, she's probably going to spend a lot of time doing our hauling and cleaning, I suspect. That's okay. Then we got Emmy here. So, I don't say Petra could be her name, but, you know, Petra means sort of, it's rock. So she's a miner, and it's Petra, so we had to do there. So Emmy doesn't have a nickname the same way. It's Emily Young here, but she was a famous ballerina before she decided to go out west for some reason. I don't know, or escape. Well, that's the thing, right? It's not the West. It's not real history. She probably had some reason to leave her previous settlement. Who knows what her dark backstory might be. But she's going to come here, and she's going to run our inn, is the idea. She's going to have great social, great cooking. And yeah, she's gonna be our innkeeper, and you know, village cook early on. But that's what she wants to do. She wants to set up a hotel, a fancy hotel, that she wants to be the boss of for her own. So that's gonna be pretty cool. I don't think there's anything notable for relationships over here. There's some things out in the world. Equipment wise, so we are gonna start with 2 bolt action rifles and 3 revolvers. That way, everyone can be armed. And the other thing that changed. There might be some extra wood and steel, but we've got a lot of people with it. We got to set up sooner. We start with a pair of horses. That's going to be a big thing for us. And then, yeah, the generated personalities from 1, 2, 3 personality. Anyway, I think we are good to start. So with that, this brings episode 0 to a close. And we're going to start next time with episode 1. I just want to let the game properly load up here so you guys can get a preview of what the area is going to look like. Maybe. There we go. Found a place to call home. Time to unpack your wagon. You wagons? Damn it, I typoed. And starting building and planting. Wow, Quill, you did a terrible job. This is why I didn't publish the mod yet, I suppose. Let's pause, take a look at our area. So you can see the road here. Of course, we can just trash this road and do whatever. It's not going to affect whether or not there's a road on the world map. But I kind of like the idea of using this as a bit of a base line. And yeah, we're going to have a bunch of buildings on this road. It's going to be the idea. Is that... Looked like a red dot over here, like it was aggro, but I don't think so. So yeah, you can see there's really not a lot of digging here. That's why if we had access, you know, whatever steel we have or components, which I don't see any at a glance, although I'm assuming, oh, there's some over here. Oh, actually a few bits. We need to make sure to make that last as long as we can. So that's why I got the more components and the more steel running, because that seemed like a pretty good idea. But yeah, that's going to be our thing here. It is warm enough. There's going to be farming year-round, which is, of course, extremely helpful. We might not need too much in the way of heating. We will probably need a decent amount of air conditioning, which we don't have the tech for right now, because, again, I started with only tribal techs unlocked, but we do have the industrial tech level, so anything that is up to green we will research at a normal rate. It's only when we try to do the blue stuff, the spacer level tech, that we will start to get the debuff to our tech speed. We do have the tech advancing mod coming in here, but with the amount of techs we've got loaded in here, I don't expect the tech advancing to actually trigger, not for a very, very, very long time, but that's okay. Anyway, that's the start to our new Let's Play. Theoretically, episode 1 was published just after this one, so join me over there. If you are new to the channel, of course, do make sure to subscribe, like, comment, things like that. It does really help the channel a lot, get those algorithms going on, and, you know, that way you won't miss an episode. Heck, you can even hit that little bell icon if you want. See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.